Hey guys, welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. My name is Justin. Today we are back at Click Lewis Chevrolet, and Mike has given us the go-ahead to test drive the Colorado ZR2. So let's get to it. All right guys, so as you know, I have the Colorado Z71 and it is an amazing truck. I love it. I love everything about the ZR2 as well. It just looks so much more menacing, so much more off-road ready. But my big thing with the ZR2 was that it tows 2,000 pounds less than my Z71 does. And the biggest reason I wanted it was for that towing capacity. The Z71 is an awesome truck. The ZR2, honestly, is more my speed as far as being sporty and very capable, but with losing that ability at the 5,000 pound tow mark, I don't know. I mean, this thing is just so freaking awesome looking, and it has all the options that I would want on my truck. I gotta take it for a ride, right? All right, so first thing I notice right off the bat, I open up the door and this truck definitely sits higher than my Colorado. My Colorado is, of course, stock height, but it does have a 2-inch front leveling kit. But I didn't realize that that 2-inch level that I have on mine still doesn't compare to this. This is definitely a higher sitting truck. Now, it is the off-road version. And I know what you're thinking. Well, wait a minute, the Z71 says off-road. Yeah, it does, but this is the real off-road truck. If you're doing any kind of off-roading at all, this is definitely the truck you want. And I mean, you can look at it and tell this is the truck you want for off-road. Right off the bat, we have cutaway front bumpers to give you better approach angles. You got the meaty tires for rocks and mud, and I mean, even the way the grill's set up just gives you as much air in there as possible for any kind of hardcore off-roading that you're looking to do. The approach to the side steps, these are actually rock sliders, so you're not going to step on these to get in the truck. You're actually going to use these to prevent frame damage when off-roading. So, I mean, this thing is literally built for off-roading, and it looks freaking awesome. Even coming around here to the rear, we don't get the side steps anymore. There's no side steps in the rear bumper to get into the bed because this reduces the rear approach angle by a couple degrees. So they wanted to literally make this thing as off-road capable as possible, and they did it. It looks awesome. It's sporty as heck. I mean, look at the rear sport bar, the LED lights up there. This stuff's all stock. This is stock OEM Chevy stuff. And I think it's awesome the route that Chevy's going with this stuff. The biggest thing for me, we got the options on this truck that mine have that were really important to me, and that is the integrated OEM brake controller. Again, like I said before, I tow some things with my Z71, most notably the wife's boat, and it has a trailer brake on it. So having that built in just makes me feel like the truck is able to do it better. I know it's not necessarily the case, but it just does. Some of the other things on the truck that I needed that my Z71 has as well is, of course, the spray-on bed liner. This stuff has held up so well in my Z71. There's no way I would buy a truck without this. Now, I'm not actually thinking real hard about buying this. I want to, but honestly, I've put so much work into my Z71 that I think it would be kind of counterproductive to buy this, but it looks freaking awesome. I don't know. I'm not convinced, and I know when I step in here and drive it, I'm gonna be even less convinced that I shouldn't do this. Again, one of the things when opening up the door that you notice right off the bat is we get like the ZR2 performance badging stuff here. This is just one extra step to making you know that when you step in here, this isn't just a regular Colorado. This is actually something sporty and capable. And GM is great at making a sporty and capable car. I mean, my Corvette is as sporty and as capable as it gets, pretty much. Now, another thing I notice and I love is the ZR2 goes with a silver accent piece, where my Z71 has like blue fake looking carbon fiber. This looks way better. Honestly, the only way this could get any better is if this was red, especially on this black truck. Having that be red would be awesome. Now, that piece isn't the only one. We also have that on the center infotainment system, as well as the passenger side and the gear selector here. And again, I think that looks a little bit better than the blue fake carbon fiber that the Z71s get. Not a huge deal, just figured I'd mention it. Moving on though with the interior, if you guys remember, one of the things I said I didn't like about the Z71 in my 5 things I hate video, which I'll actually link up here to the top right, is the multicolored interior. So on the Z71, we get a black and gray mixture of interior panels on the doors, the dash, and even the seats. Now with the ZR2, everything is black. So the entire dashboard, all black. The door panels, all black. The seats, all black, all leather, which is really cool. There is a decent price difference between what I purchased and the ZR2 here, so these are kind of things you would expect, but it's still nice to see these things in person, and it's even better to be able to get into these things, review them, test drive them before really making a decision. And the best part is they're letting me do it without anybody even being here. I mean, I can really put this through its paces and do any kind of YouTube videos I want with it because I'm just here alone with the truck. Other stuff on the interior though is of course the embroidered ZR2 in the headrests. Again, just speaks to that sporty off-road capability. One more thing on the interior that the ZR2 gets that my Z71 doesn't have and didn't have an option for at the time is the wireless charging pad. Now this is one of those things where if I wanted to, the car was running, I could take my phone, set it right in there, and it would start charging. It's actually recessed in there enough that you could leave that in there while driving. It won't slide out of there. It's an awesome feature. It's one of those underrated features that no one really gets, but look at it. Just look at it. It's freaking awesome. Now, one of the big selling points of this truck that isn't really even discussed a whole lot or visible when looking at the truck is the fact that it actually has a front locking differential. Now, my Z71 has one in the rear, which is pretty standard for trucks, which means basically if you're doing off-road stuff, this will lock and not allow any kind of slipping at all. It will get you out of a tight jam. But this truck actually will lock the front differential as well, literally getting you out of almost anything you could possibly get into. That's something that is missing on the Z71. It's only an option for the ZR2. Now, of course, the other really big selling point for the ZR2 is the Multimatic front and rear shock strut setup. Now these will give you the best possible off-road experience while not giving you the worst on-road experience. So these kind of are a nice balance between the two, and they are some pretty impressive performance pieces. Basically, it just means you're going to be able to off-road more efficiently than you can with the Z71 while not completely killing your on-road experience. Now you may be asking, where have I seen this DSSV stuff before? Well, you've actually seen it in the Camaros. GM actually recently put these in the 5th gen Camaro Z28s. And what they did for that car was stiffen it up to the point where it was the most track capable Camaro for that generation, and it really kept that car planted on the ground. Now it also boosts the price a fair amount. Between the struts and the carbon ceramic rotors available for that car, the price went up pretty significantly. And it's no different with the ZR2. The ZR2 is more expensive than the Z71 that I have. And if you can see this here, the price actually starts out for this particular model at $47,250. That's not terrible for a truck with this amount of performance, but my truck, the Z71, I paid $31,000 for that. So this truck is $16,000 more, and the things we just covered are really all the differences. So we're gonna take it for a ride and see if it's worth the extra money. The way that the truck looks, I feel like it's worth it, and I would love to buy the thing just because it's black. It would match my new Corvette. It would be awesome. So we're gonna take it for a ride here and go over some of the actual features of the truck and how it rides.
Wait, I can't get in. I can't get in. Oh God, no, this would not be working out for me.
So getting in the truck, we can see this is a 2019. It has the updated infotainment display as well as the updated center information screen. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of this update. It actually kind of looks a little cheap compared to the system I have in my 2018, but from what I've heard, it seems like it works a little faster, so things respond a little quicker and things like that. It's all right, I guess. Now, this model doesn't have the Bose system, which means it will not have GPS either. but that's okay because just like in my truck, I don't have that option either. I use Android Auto to replace that, so it's not a huge deal. Coming down here to the actual center stack of buttons, we can see where we have the ability to turn on and off the front and rear locking differentials, which is pretty cool. Like I said, that's the big selling point for this truck, so it's awesome that you have the control over it for this. Also, because this one's a 2019, it does have the button here for a heated steering wheel, which is pretty cool. Living in Pennsylvania, you never know when you need this kind of stuff, and it's kind of interesting that they wouldn't have given this to you in the 2018s, considering the GMC Canyons have had it for a couple years. So now that the truck's running, I'm gonna go ahead and take my phone and just place it right here in the wireless phone charger. And there it is. The phone is now charging. How freaking awesome is that, guys? I mean, we are literally living in the future. As you can see there, this is a brand new truck. It's got 21 miles on it, and we also got a full tank of gas. So let's go. Ugh, I forgot how ugly this gold bow tie is. All right, so here we go. Let's see what we got here. So right off the bat, I definitely feel like I'm sitting higher in this. More ground clearance in the front and back, of course, but it definitely sits higher as well. And of course, it feels just as peppy as my Z71 because it is the same engine, so nothing really to report on there. It feels a little bit stiffer, so that's definitely going to be those struts that are on this, the DSSVs. Definitely give you a more stiff feel, and it helps with the off-roading, like I said. So let's go over some rough pavement. Let's see what we got here. Let's get this stuff. Try to put this thing through its paces in the city driving. And that didn't feel too bad, and that road was kind of chewed up. It drives very similar to my Z71 because it's the same engine and the same drivetrain, but the suspension definitely feels like it's soaking up bumps better than my Z71 does. The DSSV dampers do a pretty good job when you're running over the manhole covers, at least, of not really jarring you. But they really shine on off-road type trails, so this isn't necessarily the best test, but I'm not really finding a whole lot I can do here with off-roading in this particular area. But there are definitely no shortage of manhole covers to hit, so that will work for now, I guess. Look at that. Look at it, guys. I'm flying. Yeah, it definitely handles the bumps better than my Z71 does. Just like with my ZR1, one of the first things you notice when you climb in and start driving is, holy cow, look at that cow. That's a nice little bump in the hood for a sporty look. I wish my Z71 had that. And they have covers on them right now, but if you look in the corner crack there, you can see they are on, and they are the LED sport lights. I mean, they look pretty cool. Would definitely help at night on a trail. So that with the sport bar, the engraved ZR2, which actually has an option for a piece of metal behind it to be put in as red, so it makes this stand out even more. Definitely cool stuff, guys. The little bit I got to drive the truck and the tiny little bit of off-roading we could do here in the city of Palmyra tells me that some of the options on this truck may actually just be worth the price. $47,000 that this truck will cost you. Over what I paid for my Colorado, I don't know if that's really necessarily worth it, but my Colorado I got for $31,000. That's not necessarily the same deal you'll get for a brand new Colorado Z71 either. Typically the MSRP of the Z71 and the ZR2 are a little closer. They're usually around 35, 36 to 45, 47. So around $10,000 price jump, not necessarily 16,000. At 10,000, yes, I'd say it's worth it because those shocks on this truck are actually very impressive. Going over the road, slamming into manhole covers, they absorb the shock so much better than the ones on my Z71, and this truck just looks very menacing. That approach angle in the front, these beefy Duratrack Goodyear tires, and the cowl that is on the hood here. Just, it somehow gives it that extra little bit of sportiness it needs. Now, any of you guys who know I have my ZR1 Corvette, it has something similar, and it does give the effect of a sporty appearance. And in this case, it's obviously a sporty truck. It's built for off-roading, so it's gonna have off-road goodies, like even coming down here on the front, you can see it's got skid plates. So, I mean, it's built for taking abuse on the trail. All underneath as well, it's going to give you all that protection for your oil pan, your differential. So all those are going to be covered with a piece of metal to stop any large rocks from destroying it while you're going over it. Now, another option I noticed that the ZR2 has that's different than the Z71 or even the base Colorado is these fender flares. They actually stick out a little bit more, and they're shaped slightly different than the Z71s, and it again gives it an appearance of a wider wheel well and a little bit more depth to help house these meatier tires. Like I said, same powertrain, same V6 I have in my Colorado. And as you can see, even though it's a factory installed option, we actually have a separate wire here for the accessory light bar that is up on top. These trucks are actually really cool. They have a lot of aftermarket options, and you can easily make them exactly what you want them to be without having the drawbacks of a full-size truck. The Z71 towing 7,000 pounds is pushing into full-size truck territory anyway, so why not? But anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. I wanna thank Click Lewis again for allowing me to review this truck and give me the thing for the day to kind of play with and get familiar with. Honestly, I get the question a lot as to whether or not the ZR2 is worth the premium over the Z71, and honestly, I think it is. The truck itself really just takes the whole Colorado name to another level. It gives you a lot more off-road capability, and just looking at it, it looks like it's tearing through mud and climbing up mountainsides while it's just sitting there, because it's just so aggressively cut. It really does appear to be worth the difference in money. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you liked what you saw, give me a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about the ZR2 or any Colorado content, shoot them in the comment section down below, or send me an email, horse.power.obsessed@gmail.com. I'm always happy to hear from you guys. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. There's plenty of Colorado content coming, hopefully soon here, but hopefully not too soon, because then that means winter time's here. I'll catch you guys in the next one.